In the previous video I unboxed and demoed how the Roborock S5 Max vacuums and mops. So for today's video, I'll focus solely on the mopping features, how it performs on wet messes and dried up stains. Also in the first video, I featured the Xiaomi Home app, which I thought was the official app of Roborock. But after some research and a comment from John Doe, I found out that Roborock has its own app, so you'll see glimpses of it in this review. I'll record another video comparing the Xiaomi Home app and the Roborock app, so please hit that subscribe button and the bell icon beside it to get notified when I publish that video. I'll also do a comprehensive review of the S5 Max that will feature the other tests, that includes the cleaning test, and share with you what I think are the strengths and weaknesses of this robot vacuum. Again, please subscribe to get notified. Most of the upgrades in the S5 Max are focused on its mopping capabilities. Some of these improvements include the bigger water tank that can hold more liquid than the previous S5 model. It has a separate water tank with a feature that gives the users an option of how much water flows through. There are 4 different flow options that give the user more control depending on the size of the area or the type of stain that needs cleaning. Take note that the S5 Max tank can only hold water. If you read the instructions carefully, it clearly states that you can only put in water. Using cleaners can potentially damage the internal components of the water tank that regulate flow and void the warranty, so I wouldn't recommend even risking it. If you have to use any cleaners, my suggestion would be spraying it directly on the microfiber pad. For the mopping tests, I only use water to see how effective the mop is at handling liquid messes and dried stains. The first tests I did were on wet messes, on red wine and coffee spills. The results were similar. I liked how the robot was able to pick up most of the liquid without leaving any heavy streaks, which is common for robot mops that only rely on gravity tanks. The electronic tank clearly works in these tests. There were some visible stains with the red wine test, but the floor was mostly dry within minutes after the robot docks. A second run will be helpful to remove any residue that's left from the initial run. But the S5 Max, at least the one I got, only comes with one pad, so you'll have to wash it first before making the subsequent run. Fortunately, the pads for the S5 are cheap and available in sites like GearBest if you want to minimize downtime. Please check the description below for the links. If you look underneath the robot, there was minimal water residue inside the dust cup, brush, and the brush guard. It didn't accumulate any water in the area under the dirt canister, which is a good sign. S5 Max can handle small liquid spills, but I wouldn't recommend using it for such because of the risk of water seeping through the electronic components. For the next test, I scattered a good amount of coffee and red wine on tile, left it overnight to dry. I didn't soak the pad in water or any cleaning solution for this test to see if water alone can clean stains like this. Please watch this clip to see how the S5 Max did on the first run. Here's the result after the first run. It's not perfect, but it was able to remove a good portion of the stains. There were some streaks, but the floor was dry within a few minutes after the robot finished mopping. The S5 Max did a fairly decent job considering the amount of stains on the floor. I ran the robot a second time to see how much of the stain it will clean. was the result of the second test. It did not remove 100% of the stains, but it cleaned most of it. In my opinion, the most impressive part was the absence of heavy water streaks, which is a common occurrence for robot mops that use gravity tanks. The electronic water tank did its job, making the pad wet enough to mop, but not oversaturating it with water and leaving a big mess. Based on the tests I did, I feel that the S5 Max is better utilized at cleaning dried stains. Aside from mopping up the stains, it was also able to pick up all the Quaker Oats I scattered on the surface during the 2 runs, so these 2 features complement each other well. The last test I'll share with you is the No-Mop zone test. For this experiment, I placed 2 square zones on the map to see if the robot will avoid these areas and how accurate these zones are. The technology worked as advertised, as the S5 Max avoided these 2 zones. This feature is useful at telling the robot what areas to avoid while mopping without having to remove rugs or furniture. The ability to add more than 1 zone is beneficial for larger homes that have a lot of areas which does not require any mopping. I hope this video helps you decide whether or not the S5 Max is a good option for your home. The biggest improvement in my opinion is the electronic water tank that does an amazing job at regulating water flow without leaving the pad soaking wet. I removed the water tank to see if it will drip, but it didn't while holding it at the normal position. It will only leak water if you tilt it sideways. This results in above average performance when mopping dried or wet stains, but I discourage doing the latter because of the risk it entails at damaging electronic components. It can clean dried stains, but you may have to run it more than once if you need to clean a lot of it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to get the latest updates like the S5 versus S5 Max comparison and a full review of the S5 Max that I have in store. Thanks again for watching.